Sir, kindly follow me. Because of adjustments in priority seating, your first-class ticket is now reassigned to economy class. A subtle embarrassment filled the atmosphere. The flight attendant's tone was detached and robotic. Travelers quickly glanced at the older gentleman wearing a military hat, clutching his boarding pass firmly. Elias merely nodded. He folded the pass and gradually proceeded to the rear of the aircraft. Nobody aboard could have foreseen that shortly afterward, 10 soldiers and an furious general would reach the airport to prevent the plane from departing. Let's explore this tale. Major Elias Harper, 89 years old, came into the world on a modest farm in Kansas. He matured amid fields of corn and the aroma of moist soil following rainfall. At 18, he joined the Army, not seeking fame or excitement, but due to his conviction that defending his nation was a holy obligation. The Korean War encountered him youthful and resolute. Vietnam transformed him into an experienced and insightful individual. Across both wars, Elias discovered that bravery is not the lack of fear. It is the choice to proceed despite it. He received the Silver Star, among the top military distinctions in the United States, for valor during battle. Elias is an uncomplicated person. No extravagance, no bother. He dons simple khaki trousers, a pale blue shirt, and the identical veteran's military cap he has worn for many years. In his grasp, he carries an envelope containing an official summons from the United States Congress, a unique event at the Capitol to pay tribute to veterans across various eras. Elias is set to deliver a talk on guidance during periods of turmoil. The first-class ticket was a present from Congress directly, a minor token of appreciation for his 32 years of armed forces, duty, and a lifetime committed to the country. But Emily Vaughn is unaware of that. To the flight attendant, Elias is merely another ordinary traveler possessing a boarding pass. The aircraft is almost completely occupied. Elias moves leisurely along the passageway, verifying seat assignments. 5A, first-class window position, precisely as indicated on his ticket. He stows his compact carry-on luggage in the upper bin and is on the verge of sitting when a voice halts him. "Pardon me, sir." Emily emerges beside him, joined by another airline staff member, a younger fellow with an uneasy look. "I am Emily Vaughn, the chief flight attendant. This is Marcus Hale, also employed by the airline." Elias faces them courteously. "Because of priority seating adjustments, your ticket has been relocated. I require you to shift to seat 47B in economy." "What precisely occurred?" "Internal operational guidelines matter, sir." Elias gazes at the ticket in his possession. Then he regards Emily. His brows rise a bit, but his tone remains composed. "The ticket specifies seat 5A. That is what it was provided for." "I comprehend, sir, but we possess priority travelers who require these positions." "Priority travelers." Emily pauses. Marcus fidgets uncomfortably next to her. "Travelers with a frequent flyer record in first class. It forms part of our loyalty guidelines." Elias absorbs the details gradually. His gaze surveys the first-class section, observing the positions now occupied by business professionals working on computers. "You comprehend, sir?" "Yes, I comprehend that a truthful resident who fulfills his taxes and defended his nation is valued less than an individual who frequently purchases costly tickets." Emily gulps noticeably. Marcus drops his gaze. "That is not the case, sir. It is simply a guidelines issue." Elias retrieves his carry-on. He casts one final glance at seat 5A and heads toward the aircraft's rear. At 89, he has confronted adversary gunfire, lost comrades in combat, and observed atrocities that most individuals could never conceive. But never had he experienced such disrespect as in that instance. Seat 47B is squeezed between two confined chairs. Elias fits himself in as well as possible, positioning between an adolescent with earphones and a lady whose outerwear encroaches on his area. His spine, scarred by years of military duty and prior operations, complains against the tight seat. There is no space for his limbs. He adjusts multiple times, but no arrangement provides genuine ease. The adolescent increases the sound level. The audio seeps from the earphones, something regarding defiance and fury. Elias shuts his eyes and inhales deeply and steadily. Emily proceeds along the passageway, verifying that travelers have secured their safety belts. Upon arriving at row 47, She evades direct eye contact with Elias. All fine here? Elias glances upward. Everything is well, ma'am. Excellent. She advances swiftly. Elias extends into his shirt compartment and extracts a tiny metal item, the silver star. He does not display it on his torso from arrogance, but he consistently keeps it nearby. It serves as a memento that once his nation recognized his value. But today, Elias felt like an outsider in the very country he had protected. 3 rows forward, still in economy class, Lieutenant Nathan Harper completes placing his backpack in the upper storage. At 27, he bears the same resolute expression that once illuminated his grandfather's eyes. Nathan completed 2 years in the National Guard. He absorbed from Elias what armed forces duty genuinely signifies. When he observes his grandfather proceeding along the passageway toward the aircraft's rear, Nathan scowls. Elias was intended to be in first class. That is what the ticket stated, the identical one he had proudly displayed to Nathan the previous evening, thrilled about at last possessing a more comfortable position to alleviate his spinal discomfort. Nathan rises and silently trails him. He locates Elias arranging into the constricted seat, evidently uneasy. Grandpa, what transpired? Elias glances upward. He grins affectionately, but sorrow lingers behind it. Alteration of arrangements, youngster. What sort of alteration of arrangements? They relocated my seat, indicated it was essential because of operational concerns. Nathan surveys the surroundings. He observes the awkward looks on the visages of adjacent travelers, individuals who evidently saw the seat exchange. He notices Emily several rows forward gazing downward at a notepad, intentionally avoiding visual contact. This is intolerable. Nathan, no, Grandpa, this is intolerable. The youthful lieutenant retrieves his telephone. His hands quiver faintly, driven by controlled outrage. Whom are you contacting? Elias inquires. Someone who can resolve this? Nathan navigates through his contacts until he discovers the name he seeks. Colonel Robert Kane, Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Air Force. The telephone rings once, twice. Colonel Kane's office. This is Lieutenant Nathan Harper, Colorado National Guard. I must converse with the colonel. It is pressing. The colonel is in a conference, Lieutenant. May I record a message? Nathan glances at his grandfather, who is now observing with increasing interest. Inform him it concerns Major Elias Harper. Inform him he will desire to accept this call. One moment, Lieutenant. Less than 30 seconds afterward, a profound voice emerges on the line. This is Colonel Kane. Did you mention Major Elias Harper? Yes, sir. My grandfather. Colonel Robert Kane's voice quivered with feeling on the opposite end of the line. At 73, he had never overlooked the day a youthful major named Elias Harper organized the extraction that rescued him from a lethal ambush in the Mekong Delta. Your grandfather is a champion, Lieutenant. What can I do for him? Nathan swiftly described the circumstance, the communal embarrassment, the insult, the compelled seat relocation. On the opposite end, quietude lingered heavily as lead. What airport are you located at? Denver Atlantic Frontier Airlines Flight 447 to Washington. Remain in place. The conversation concluded. Kane did not squander a moment. He lifted his desk telephone and dialed the direct line to Victor Lang's private office, CEO and founder of Atlantic Frontier Airlines. Lang was recognized for 2 aspects, his billion-dollar wealth and his steadfast patriotism. A Gulf War veteran, he had converted a minor regional airline into one of the biggest aviation firms in the nation. Victor Lang speaking. Victor, this is Robert Kane, Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Air Force. Colonel Kane, what an unexpected call. How may I assist you? We possess a situation on one of your flights. A honored veteran is being insulted by your personnel at this moment. Insulted? What do you imply? Kane described everything. Each term struck Lang like a blow to the stomach. My goodness, this is occurring presently. Precisely. Flight 447 from Denver. Lang did not delay. Robert, we will correct this right away. As soon as he disconnected, Kane initiated a second call. General Reed, I require a favor, an immediate one. General Harlan Reed, commander of the Denver Air Force Base, answered on the initial ring. What do you require, Robert? I have one of our own, a veteran Silver Star holder, being shamed at the airport. I need your assistance to rectify it. How many personnel do you need? You determine. But I desire everyone in that airport to comprehend that when you insult our veterans, the armed forces react. It will be my privilege. I am attending personally. 15 minutes afterward at Denver International Airport, the noise was distinct. Military footwear stepping in flawless synchronization across the marble surface of the terminal. Travelers halted and pivoted to observe. General Harlan Reed, 62, guided the path himself, accompanied by 10 uniformed Air Force troops. Their attire was immaculate, their emblems shining, their stance impeccable. They advanced through the terminal like a surge of intent. Airport personnel moved aside with deference. Youngsters indicated in wonder. Grown-ups murmured, attempting to comprehend the spectacle. At gate B-17, Emily Vaughn was examining the traveler roster when she detected the noise of footwear nearing. She glanced upward and became ashen. Who oversees the crew on this flight? General Reed's voice resounded through the terminal. Emily advanced. I am the chief flight attendant. Where is Major Elias Harper? He is already aboard. What seat? Emily gulped noticeably. She recognized how poor the response would appear. 47B economy. General Reed shut his eyes momentarily. When he reopened them, the fervor in his gaze caused Emily to reflexively retreat. Where was he intended to be? 5A. First class. If the ticket was granted for first class, why is he not positioned there? Emily attempted to clarify something regarding loyalty guidelines and internal methods, but the terms emerged disordered and insignificant. The general interrupted her with a straightforward motion. I did not inquire about your guidelines. I inquired why an honored veteran with a Silver Star is not being handled with the esteem he merits. He pivoted to the troops. Let us rectify this. Within the aircraft, travelers peered through the windows, inquisitive as the military group neared the plane. Some commenced recording, perceiving that something extraordinary was about to occur. Elias, still compressed into seat 47B, could not view the activity outside. Nathan, positioned a few rows forward, rotated to regard his grandfather and grinned subtly. General Reed entered first, trailed by 2 troops. His aura occupied the slender passageway. Discussions ceased immediately. Quietness descended over the compartment. Where is Major Elias Harper? His voice resonated through the aircraft. Travelers pivoted, examining the compartment for the individual he had referenced. Elias, still uncertain of the events, gradually elevated his hand. General Reed proceeded along the passageway and halted directly before seat 47B. When he observed Elias compressed between 2 travelers, his demeanor solidified. Major Harper, yes, sir. The 2 troops snapped to attention and saluted. For several seconds, the sole noise was the drone of the airplane motors. Major, I am General Harlan Reed of the United States Air Force. Representing the armed forces, I express regret for the manner you were handled today. Elias blinked, still endeavoring to comprehend the circumstance. That is not essential, General. It certainly is, Major. Major Harper, kindly accompany me. Elias gradually rose. His spine objected after the extended minutes in that confined seat. The general extended his arm for assistance. They proceeded together along the passageway. Every gaze tracked them. Reed addressed the first-class travelers. Ladies and gentlemen, this individual is an honored veteran who defended our nation. He obtained the Silver Star for preserving American lives in hostile territory, and today he was insulted on this flight. When they arrived at seat 5A, the general motioned respectfully. Your seat, Major. Elias seated himself gradually. The position was ample and comfortable. His limbs finally possessed space. His spine discovered appropriate support. Thank you, General. No, Major. It is the nation that expresses gratitude to you. Despite surpassing him in rank, General Reed positioned at attention and saluted. The troops performed likewise. Then they pivoted and departed. Assignment fulfilled. From afar, Emily Vaughn observed, comprehending her profession had just altered significantly. The quietness that ensues after the troops' exit is dissimilar to anything the travelers have ever encountered. Elias arranges into seat 5A, where he ought to have been from the start. His hands repose calmly on the official envelope from Congress. There is no victory in his demeanor, No contentment over Emily's embarrassment, solely the serene poise of a man who has at last been acknowledged. A middle-aged gentleman in a crisp business attire positioned in the initial row pivoted slightly. "Sir, I merely wish to express thank you for your service." Additional travelers commence to voice opinions. A lady nods deferentially. A youthful pair murmurs terms of esteem. Even the adolescent with the earphones removes them and regards Elias with fresh esteem. Nathan approaches his grandfather's position. "How do you feel, Grandpa?" Elias gazes through the window. Outside, the military group is still observable in the terminal, departing with the identical resolve they arrived with. "You know, Nathan, for an instant I believed my nation had overlooked me, but now I recognize my nation never overlooked." Emily nears gradually, tentatively. Her hands quiver faintly as she bends to address Elias. "Mr. Harper, I desired to express regret. I did not know. I had no notion who you were." Elias observes her for an extended moment. His gaze is benevolent but firm. "Miss, the issue was not that you did not recognize who I was. The issue was that you did not handle an older gentleman with fundamental poise, irrespective of who he might be." The terms impact Emily like a flash of lightning. "You are correct. I am sorry. I accept your apology, but I hope you gain knowledge from this." "I will, sir," I assure. When the aircraft arrives in Washington, the travelers erupt into impromptu applause. This is not the customary courteous clapping following a rough landing. It is something completely different. An applause of acknowledgement, of esteem, of rediscovered national pride. Elias ascends gradually, retrieves his compact carry-on, and directs toward the exit. But this time, he does not proceed unaccompanied. Nathan is beside him. Additional travelers nod or address him deferentially as he passes. At the aircraft's entrance, Emily awaits one final time. "Major, thank you for instructing me something vital today." "You are welcome, miss. Simply handle people with poise." "All people. I will." Elias grins, the initial authentic grin of the day. Then it was worthwhile. Victor Lang's desk, CEO of Atlantic Frontier Airlines, was overlaid with reports, security recordings, and the record of the conversation with Colonel Kane. He passed his hands through his graying locks, still assimilating the extent of what had just transpired. His aide, Margaret, entered bearing additional papers. "Victor, the tale is already on social media. A traveler captured the instant the military entered the aircraft. The footage has 500,000 views in merely 2 hours." Lang seized the tablet and viewed the recording. He observed General Reed enter the plane. He observed Elias being accompanied to first class. He observed the applause. "Margaret, I desire Emily Vaughn in my office tomorrow at 8 a.m. And I desire Marcus Hale here too. And I desire an urgent gathering with the whole customer service division today." "Yes, sir." Lang rose and proceeded to the window overlooking the airport runway. Below, Atlantic Frontier aircraft were departing and arriving at consistent intervals, each transporting hundreds of travelers who relied on the firm to handle them with esteem. "Margaret?" "Yes, sir. Cancel all my engagements for the remainder of the week. I am going to personally compose a new guidelines for this firm, and I will ensure that no veteran is ever insulted on one of our flights again." Days afterward, Atlantic Frontier Airlines declared the establishment of the Harper Protocol, a fresh corporate guidelines crafted to honor and esteem all military veterans on their flights. They issued the subsequent declaration. Atlantic Frontier Airlines recognizes that our liberty to traverse American airspace was gained through the blood and sacrifice of our veterans. It is our responsibility and our honor to tribute them on every flight. Emily Vaughn was relocated for 6 months to the training division, where she now instructs new staff about the significance of esteem and poise in customer service. Her initial session always commences with the tale of Major Harper. Marcus Hale was elevated to overseer after presenting a comprehensive report on the occurrence. The Harper Protocol shortly became a pattern for other U.S. airlines. Within 6 months, more than 15 firms in the sector embraced comparable guidelines. In Washington, the ceremonial chamber is decorated with American flags and images of military champions from diverse periods. Veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf, and Iraq occupy positions of honor in the front row. Elias proceeds to the forefront. He possesses something vital to convey. members of Congress, fellow veterans, my fellow Americans. Elias extends into his pocket and extracts the small silver star medal. He grasps it between his digits, permitting the illumination to reflect on the refined metal. This medal does not render me superior to anyone else, but it represents something we should all recall. Sometimes we battle not for individual acclaim, but to safeguard the principles that characterize us as a nation. In Vietnam, I discovered that genuine bravery is not the lack of fear. It is performing what is correct, even when it is difficult. I am not here to request that veterans be handled as exceptional. I am here to remind you that esteem, poise, and appreciation are not benefits we bestow to a few. They are the principles that characterize us as Americans. When you go back home today, do not recall Major Harper. Recall every man and woman who had the daily selection between apathy and empathy to exist for others. That is what is worth safeguarding. That is what is worth serving for. The applause begins gradually, but within seconds the whole chamber is standing, applauding not merely Elias, but the principles he represented. And on that day, perhaps the most crucial alteration was not a seat on an aircraft, but a transformation in millions of minor daily instances, staff displaying more tolerance to the older individuals, people providing seats on public conveyance, grandchildren esteeming their grandparents, individuals selecting empathy over apathy. Because we do not handle people well because they are significant. They become significant because we handle them well. If you appreciated this tale, leave a remark below sharing your opinions and how you think we should handle the older individuals who have accomplished so much throughout their lives. I would love to read and reply to every single one. Do not forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you will not miss the next tale created especially for you.